Hello, everyone. Welcome to Easy's Place, where we take everything easy. When I was younger, one of the things that really scared me was trying to make a decision because I always felt that there was a right decision to make. Like, if I had two similar options and I had to choose one, I always felt there was a right one. And if I picked the wrong one, I'll have a bad outcome. I would be paralyzed in fear that I was going to do the wrong thing. I'll give you an example. So when I was trying to pick what I studied in my first degree in college, I had two options. They were very similar, promised similar lifestyles and everything, income, school tuition, all that kind of stuff. I was literally paralyzed. I didn't know what to do. And I remember asking the advisor, like, which one do you think I should take? Because I really didn't know what to do. And I remember he looked at me and he said, "Well, everybody who does, course A are usually happier than people who do course B." And so I went ahead, I did course B, and guess what? That's where I met my husband, and years down the line we got married and had kids, and that's the story for another day. Now, you would think that this experience would make me a little more confident in making choices, but it didn't. In fact, it cemented my thought process that there had to be a right path in life to take. Now, when I look back, I think this was actually a very pivotal moment for me where every time I had two similar situations, I would like, oh God, this, I have to pick one, I have to pick one. But over time, now in my 40s, after making so many mistakes and having to choose between multiple similar situations, I'm beginning to realize that there is no right path to take. There's just the path that you think is best for you in that moment. Now, if for any reason that pathway is wrong, then you have to bear in mind you can always stop and start over. You can always stop and pivot into some other, situation, position, job, career, education, whatever it is. The reason why a lot of us feel that there's a particular path to take is because we feel that we will be stuck in the moment. If we make this decision, if we take this step, there's no do-overs. But life isn't that rigid. Now, I would say this from a Christian perspective. The Bible tells us that all things work together for those who, seek Him and work according to His purpose. Why this is important is that if you make a decision and God forbid it's the wrong one, you are making that decision and God is going to do something in that decision that brings you closer to Him or teaches you a valuable lesson and so on and so forth. So the decision is never really a waste. It may be different, it may be difficult, but it's never really a waste. You learn something, you grow, you pivot, you change. You never ever are in a wrong position. You're in a different position, and if God forbid if it's wrong, yeah, you like I said, you pivot. So back to the story about me being in college and picking the course. Like I said, I met my husband. There were two courses. It turns out, looking back in hindsight, that there were so many courses that we took in common with both of the disciplines that I wanted. So eventually, I think I would have still met my husband regardless of if I chose course A over course B. I would have still met my husband regardless of which degree course I chose. And over time in my life, I've looked back on things like that and I've realized that every time the decision I made at that moment was right for me and it worked out in the end. And that's the important thing I want you to take away is that it always works out in the end. I mean, obviously, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end. So if you're struggling with a decision, it doesn't matter what it is, moving to a different city, having a baby, not having a baby, getting married, not getting married, changing your job, choosing between two different jobs, just make the move. And if it doesn't work out, you can pivot. Bear with me. I'm going to give another biblical example. The only thing that I think people can come back from is being unalived. And in the Bible, I can give off my head three people who came back: Jesus, Lazarus, Tabitha. I mean, we could go on. So, yeah, if you're struggling with a decision right now and you're trying to make something of your life and it feels like you have to make the right one, or else things are just going to go south, just take a deep breath. Choose the decision based on what you feel is right in that moment. Talk to your advisors, your parents, your siblings, a mentor. Just reach out and then sit down and, go through the process, weighing the pros and the cons of whatever decisions you're trying to choose between, and eventually pick one. I will tell you the caveat to that is that sometimes the logical decision is not necessarily the right one. At the end of the day, trust your instinct, trust your gut, trust that the universe, God will lead you in the right direction. In terms of, the universe, we believe that the more you run away from your destiny, the more you run into it. So there's no wrong decisions, there's no wrong paths. They're just decisions you make in that moment that are best for you. Good luck. Again, this is Easy's Place where we take everything easy. If you like what you heard, you want to join me, subscribing, chatting with me, joining my community. We're growing, so you're very welcome.